Have you ever wondered what it's like to build your own small sailboat, and one that is capable of crossing oceans? Well, stay tuned, because today we're talking with Captain Perry from the YouTube channel Ocean-Capable Small Sailboat.
2 more hours to make all preparations for getting on the way.
Hey, what's your name, buddy?
Home.
Come get back to your station, or I'll have you shot from in here!
Well, shoot some!
So welcome, Perry. Thank you for joining Nano Cruising this week. I've been following, of course, your video, your Ocean, what do you call it?
Ocean-Capable Small Sailboat.
Right, mini cruiser sailboat. So, which I think you've been at it for about 2 years. So, but I'm really happy to have somebody that builds a boat. I've always wanted to build a boat. Anyway, Perry, if we could start maybe at the beginning with your sailing background. I know you've talked on some of the videos that, you've gone on the ocean and so on. I don't remember the details of that. So if you could tell us about your sailing background, how you got into it.
Yeah, well, I've only really mentioned the big trip I did in my 20s, but I grew up in Charleston, South Carolina, and that's got a great sailing harbor and sailing community, I think.
Right.
And my dad was a big influence. He had a Hobie 14, I think, since I was a baby, and he just used to always take me out on it as a little kid. And so he loved to sail fast, and I'd be on his Hobie 14.
They're fast.
And then when I got old enough, like him, I got a Hobie 16.
Right.
And would go out with that and my friends, and I just hooked it up to the back of my mom's Honda Accord. And I think I was probably like 15 or something when I got it. I got into windsurfing, kite surfing when that came out.
Yep.
Got a little, at one point, I think in like high school to college, I had a JY-15 with friends.
Okay.
Sort of similar to like a laser. We owned that together. And then I went into the Navy and didn't sail much then. In the last year of my 4-year commitment, my dad sent me this book, Tamata and the Alliance by Bernard Montessier.
Okay.
Do you know that one?
Yes.
I'm sure you know the author. And
Yeah,
actually,
of course.
I've
got a crazy
read all his
library,
books.
so I've read a lot of his books, of course. Very inspirational.
I've read all his books, and I love them, but I think he sent me the worst one, Tamata and the Alliance, because it's a bit of a... It's very thick, and it's more about him trying to plant fruit trees, and it's more about him talking about political stuff and planting fruit trees. But in it, he did kind of go over his whole life in sailing, and I had never heard about the 1968 around the world Golden Globe race,
right?
And I just didn't really know you could go off alone and do this, and
Isn't that wild?
He had that simple steel boat.
Yes.
So basically, I then bought a 31-foot Cape Dory and started kind of restoring it while I was getting ready to get out of the Navy the last like 6 months.
Cape Dories are great boats, so.
Yeah, they were supposed to be really, really great, and so I kind of lucked out with that. And I had to replace like the wet core in the deck.
Okay.
So that was my first exposure to doing fiberglass work.
Right.
And I replaced the balsa with PVC foam core. So that was also my first experience working with the PVC foam that my current build is completely made of.
Right.
When I finished with that and I got out of the Navy, I moved right onto the boat and sailed down to Charleston from Norfolk, Virginia. Charleston was my hometown, and did some more work there. And then by like February, I left for Caribbean. I thought, I'd sail the Caribbean and maybe even go around the world in that boat.
Nice vision, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think maybe most people think that.
Yeah.
And I spent a year sailing that boat down the Bahamas and the Caribbean chain all the way to Grenada. I had a dog with me. It was just the best time of my life. I loved it.
Nice.
I've always thought about going back.
Right. Yeah, that's how you got into sailing. What inspired you to start this particular build?
Well, besides, Bernard Montessier and the other, like Robin Knox Johnson and Commander Bill King, there's books had a lot of influence on me.
The long way around, probably. That's the Montessier book.
Yeah, Yeah, I love those stories. And Bill King was another sailor in that race. He had been a World War II submarine captain.
Hmm.
His story, I recommend his book, Adventure in Depth.
Okay.
That's a really cool one. But really, the big influence to build this boat was I'm sure you know the little boat Baluchon.
Baluchon, absolutely.
Yeah, by Jan Quinet.
Quinet, correct. Yes.
I thought he was so cool, and I
He's
discovered
very
him
cool. Very cool.
3 or 4 years ago, maybe when he was passing through the Panama Canal.
Hmm.
And I just loved his little boat.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
actually, I think he was in the Indian Ocean because I was thinking of trying to get the plans from him.
He does have the plans, so that's a question. Then why did you go to these plans? They're pretty. I mean, Baluchon, he had one that sank before, so he fixed that. He improved that. So why did you go with the Baluchon design then?
When I wanted to start the build, he was in the middle of the Indian Ocean.
Mm,
He couldn't exactly respond to emails and send
Right.
plans.
right.
And I started looking like, I thought, could I take another hull and modify it
Right.
and get what I want? And that quickly got thrown out because really all the 14-foot boats are designed for bay use.
You wanted really small. You wanted it tiny, like Nano Cruiser, exactly, right?
Yeah, I wanted 14 feet, something I could fit in my current garage
Right.
and build.
Right.
But also, Jan's boat is 14 feet, and he was doing this around the world sail, and I thought, well, it's proven right there,
Yeah. Absolutely.
that you can do it, and you can fit this thing in your driveway.
Yeah.
So adapting an existing hull didn't seem like it would work to me. And I started looking for other plans that were similar, and I came across one called the 10-10-425 by a guy named Jerome. I bought his plans, and I contacted him and told him I was going to build it, and he said, oh, I helped Jan design Baluchon.
Oh, okay. Right.
He did like the writing calculations,
Okay.
and I don't know how fully he helped him with the design, but
Okay.
they're friends, I guess.
Yeah. Both, I guess.
So the two designs looked quite similar,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and I thought, well, this is just as good as a starting point.
Good. So you selected that design, and I know there's modifications. I think you're doing
Yeah.
bilge keels.
Yeah, he had a single lift keel.
So if you can tell me some of the modifications you made to the original design. Why did you make those changes?
I built a 1/10 cardboard model of his design,
Mm-hmm.
and there were things I wanted to change, like the nose of the bow of the boat was like a flat panel, and I wanted that pretty curved U shape that like you see in like the mini transatlantic sailboats.
Yeah, it's a scow.
That scow bow.
A scow bow. Right.
I had my heart set on a scow bow,
Mhm.
and so I took that cardboard model and I took it apart and I kind of designed it the way I wanted it to look with a scow bow.
Mm-hmm.
And I built a new model. That way you can get more. It's like more of the more circular your cross section of the boat is, the easier it'll be to write.
Right.
Right. If you have a much wider boat,
Mm-hmm.
then it's going to flip over and it'll stay that way. But if you maybe raise the coach roof or bring in the sides a little, it'll write better. So that's why I raised the coach roof just a couple inches.
Good point.
And then I like twin keels. I don't even remember why. I just I kind of like them.
Yeah.
And you see like a lot of British sailboats
Right.
do that.
Yeah,
Dry out.
the British do that big time because they have to dry out. They have such tides. So
Yeah, I always thought that it looked cool.
yeah, they look cool too. They work well, definitely.
Yeah, they work well. I read about the advantages, which I discussed in length in one of my early videos.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, so I decided on the twin keels.
Perfect. Great. Well, we've seen a lot of videos about building boats. I think yours is really the first one I see using. Is it Core-Tech? Is that what is it called?
Yeah, it's called PVC structural foam core. All that Jan Quinet had was a construction gallery that you can find. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but there's a load of pictures he has. And so I just I studied that album and studied it. I could build something like this,
Mm-hmm.
and then I could make videos. But you can make your own Nano Cruiser, as you call it.
Yeah.
You could sail anywhere in the world in it. You don't have to spend $40,000 to $100,000 or whatever on a 40-foot plus boat. I find that idea ridiculous that you have to get that big of a boat to do an ocean cross. And I didn't see anyone who was building with foam core.
No, I don't see many, really. I can't think of any other ones.
Nobody was doing that, and nobody was building a really small, like a cruising sailboat,
right,
under 20 feet or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I really should document this so other people can see it, and maybe if one person is inspired to build the same thing, then I'll be excited.
That's great. That was one of the questions I had. What inspired you to film it? And so that's great. So it's to want to give back. I mean, one of the reasons I think people don't do core is, especially on big boats, that it's so expensive, I guess. But on a smaller scale, it's more expensive, but still affordable, I would think, right?
Yeah, I tried to look up the prices recently to compare, and similar to the marine plywood.
Is that right?
Maybe I'm wrong about that. I don't know. You have to also fiberglass. You have to think of the cost of fiberglassing each side of the foam core.
Yes.
And the epoxy that is indeed expensive, and it takes more time, I think.
Yeah. Even with the wood, I do prefer to fiberglass both sides, just to a lot of people don't, but because it's really good wood,
right.
But I still prefer to totally encapsulate it.
Right, but with the foam, I think you need to do more.
And the foam will never rot. That's the beauty of that, too.
Yeah, I was like, well, I don't care if it takes a little longer or a bit more expensive. I love the idea that I'll never have to deal with water getting in there and rotting the wood. And
right.
Having replaced a wet core deck. So
right.
Why put in something that could possibly rot when I can use this stuff?
So, in the build process, what's the challenges you've had with that? Is that a new learning curve maybe with this, or like you see, probably need to put more layers? Is that what you're thinking? Yeah,
it was definitely a new learning curve because I think in like 2018, I was living in Tennessee and I started building. I wanted to build a nesting dinghy,
right?
8 feet long,
right?
Something similar to like the Chameleon. I made my own version out of cardboard, and just as I don't know, I wanted to see if I could design it myself. And so I made like a 1/10 model, and then I built a real thing out of regular 1/4-inch plywood.
Yeah.
And I fiberglassed both sides of all of it, and it was a pretty nice little nesting dinghy, and I made a mast for it. And I sailed it one time. It's in a video on my channel. I knew it would be only one time, really, and I was going to sell it because by the time I got it ready to sail, I was already excited about this cabin cruiser.
Right. That was so the Chameleon was your first experience, and now this. Of course, you're learning and documenting it, which is great for everybody.
Yeah, and I think it's like half and half. I recommend to use the PVC core because you end up with a lighter boat, I think.
Yeah.
And it'll never rot. But then on the other hand, it's like, well, if most people only own their boat like 10 years, how worried are you about it rotting? And so do you have the extra time? Do you have the extra money? I guess that's a consideration. Maybe I didn't think about it at the beginning.
Well, obviously, building a boat, you have to love building a boat too. So if you,
yes,
right?
You have to. I think you have to really have a design that you think you cannot buy anywhere else. There's nothing logical about building it yourself unless you're going to enjoy it.
Right.
And you're not worried about money. You build it yourself, you're probably looking at $15,000, and I think that's probably around what's going to be right.
Yeah, Jan famously only built it for 3,000-4,000 euros. That's his famous quote, I think.
Oh, I don't know how. I don't know
he did that. He must have been scrounging or had a lot of that. I don't know how he did that. Absolutely.
Yeah, or donations, or I really don't know how. I try to think about that because I spent maybe that much in epoxy and the foam.
Right.
Or something.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And that he did it in a year is incredible.
Yes.
Now it's been 2.5 years. I'll be finished.
You're going to be finished soon, you think?
I hope by this September or October.
Right.
She'll be ready to go in the water.
Yeah, she's looking there. She's definitely moving along, definitely. But there's a lot of
amazing.
details. There's a lot of details. Eh? even
like,
when it's small,
it's
there's
amazing.
so many
It's
details.
an endless to-do list.
Yes.
But the whole is complete, which is just amazing to me. I go down there and the whole is done.
Yeah.
But I built all the big panels are done.
So what would you tell somebody that's thinking about building their own boat?
It's tough. A lot of people email me and they say they want plans and they want to do it. And then I spend a lot of time talking to them and helping them. And then they just lose interest. And you have to be really passionate about wanting to do it, because it's going to be a long road.
Yes.
In the shop building it. It could take, like me, 3 years, or if you're retired and you have all day,
right,
maybe you can do it in a year.
Right. Yeah.
But it's going to cost you a lot of money and a lot of time. It has to be something you really want to do. So you just got to think about it in advance. And it's like, I can't give up. It's once I've started and I spent all the money on the supplies, I already knew I'm a frugal guy. It's like, I don't want all that to go to waste. I'm going to finish this.
Like you're saying, you get messages. You've got pretty good community. You have a Patreon community as well, I notice. You get a lot of good feedback or help with people online and so on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The majority of people are really awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I get people who write me and they want to help out. And I've had people volunteer to do a lot of the CAD work.
Right.
Designing things in 3D and helping me. A guy helped me design the hatch hinge because I had a big question of how I was going to design a hinge that would allow my circular hatch to lift up over this lip on the boat and then rotate forward and lay flat.
You're just starting on that portion. I'm kind of curious how that pans out. Definitely, I was wondering. I've never seen a hatch like that. That's pretty cool. So
yeah, it's one of the things I've been so excited to build, and now I'm finally starting. I released a video showing how I made the pieces for the doghouse and the lip that's going to hold the hatch cover.
Right.
Another guy, one of my Patreon members named Mike, he does his own metal fabricating in his garage. And he's just built me this beautiful stuff, like a custom fair lead on the bow.
Wow, nice.
Like the one on Balashon that's like bull horns, like curved bar.
Right.
And he made this custom pin that the mast will sit on and so that the mast can spin. Because, it's it's a Jungstrom rig, so the sail furls up around the mast.
Yes.
So he made this custom stainless pin and I just give him money for materials and shipping.
That's great. That's great to have a community helping you like that, because that's something else you have to figure out on your own. That's why I say there's a lot of details, and if you have people that helping you with that, ideas, and like you said, designing in CAD, so that's great.
Yeah, that's another reason I started the YouTube channel is because I wanted to be able to meet people like that who could help me with advice.
That's one thing. Maybe I've missed some episode, but I haven't heard about where do you want to go with this once it's finished? Do you have destinations? Are you dreaming of destinations in mind, and what are they?
Oh, all the time.
All the time. Okay.
I always have charts open and Google Earth open and planning out how many thousands of miles it is a year there.
Right.
And I kind of keep it secret because once you tell people where you're going to go, then they hold you to it, and
right.
Or I'm going to have to listen to a year of people telling me I'm an idiot for this.
Oh, I see what you mean. I see. Okay, so let's stop.
No, but it's okay. I always said from the beginning, I'm going to cross an ocean in this. So that was like a vague, but basic idea.
Yeah.
And I think we're actually going to try and move back to the East Coast this year.
Okay.
And I've always been really interested to cross the Atlantic. I'd love to sail over to the Azores.
Right.
I mean, I'd love to make it to places like South Africa and see Patagonia. And
wow, you have a lot of dreams. You have a lot of dreams.
I have big dreams for it, and I do want to do it soon. I'm trying to get the darn boat built. I really want to promote the sub 19 foot, sub 20 foot.
I'm with you. I'm with you.
And show people that it's possible, because I think a lot of people, they don't even see it. They just see these.
They don't realize it. Oh, that's right. any final tips for listeners?
I just would say, building the boats, it's really fun and rewarding. You have to have a lot of commitment and kind of know what you're getting into at the beginning. And if money's really a concern, it may not be right for you, because you can get, there's free sailboats out there. There's
For sure.
$2,000 sailboats that are going to be, you could restore and you could be sailing.
That's my world. That's what I do.
You have to really have some specific design and be like, I really want that, and it's not for sale anywhere, so I have to build it.
You have a specific design, a specific needs. It's pretty hard to find your used market boat for a small boat that could cross oceans. So there's, there's nothing really.
Didn't see any. No.
There's nothing really. I can't think of it. Thank you for your time. I look forward to see more videos, and really looking forward to seeing on water, see how it does. I think it's going to be I think you've got a great design, and the community really helped you build that out, and I'm really looking forward to that. So thank you for spending time with us and sharing your story a little bit, and we'll talk again, I'm sure.
Great. Thank you so much. I'm glad you were interested.
Before we go, I'm excited to share a sneak peek of our next episode. We'll be talking with John O'Donnell, who has achieved the incredible feat of windsurfing around Britain and Europe, and is currently in the midst of circumnavigating Japan. Jono truly embodies the spirit of Nano Cruising, and I can't wait for you to hear his amazing stories and insights. Be sure to tune in next time to catch this fascinating interview. In the meantime, we'd love for you to leave us a 5-star review to help us grow and reach more cruising enthusiasts. Your feedback is invaluable to us. Join our Facebook group, Nano Cruising, or visit nanocruising.com to connect with fellow cruisers and stay updated on all things Nano Cruising. Thanks for your support, and as always, seize your own adventure.